Hi, I'm Joe McDonald and this is Big Mac's Battle Blog. So there's been a lot going on. A lot going on with me, a lot going on with Kherson, a lot going on in the war in general, and yeah, let's talk about some of it. So fitness journey wise, I am now 6 days in, I think, to doing at least like a minimum of 10 kilometers, like solid walk a day, not counting the little bits, you know. And I've been doing more like 15, 20 some days. Right now I'm about 8 kilometers into a walk, which I'm going to make the halfway point. Just drank some water, and yeah, so there's one sock who's just here with me, and yeah, gonna head back in a bit. And I am becoming aware of like what my level of health is, which is not good, but I am feeling a bit better after a week of exercising. And I'm also becoming aware of what my body's like, which is like, you know, I've definitely injured my left ankle over the years, you know. I'm getting stiff there, my knees fucking hurt, you know. So yeah, you know, that's kind of the situation with me, but you know, progress is being made. So situation with Kherson is bad. Over the last couple of weeks we have taken more casualties as a brigade than we have in a long time, and there doesn't seem to be a respite in that. It continues. That's not good. The city, I've been doing, you know, a little bit of reading up on some of the Telegram pages to do with Kherson this morning, as well as normal news. And again, every single day there are kids and old people and soldiers and people just going about the business being killed in Kherson by drones now at a rate that's much higher than it's ever been in my previous 2 years there. The whole city is a kill zone now. When I was there was definitely dangerous bits of the city, and it was always a case that a shell could, or that odd stray drone could fall anywhere. But generally speaking, it was just the first couple of kilometers along the riverbank, and now it's everywhere. The highway in between Mykolaiv and Kherson, as far away from Kherson as Posad Pokrovsk, is now vulnerable to attack by FPV drones. A number of cars have been hit over the last days along that route. I had plans to basically deliver Toyota Hilux that's turning up in a couple of days. We are now having to revise those plans and come up with alternative ways to get in and out of the city safely. And yeah, just popping in because I wanted to go down and, you know, go back to the front and make a film of the unit, go and embed myself with one of the teams for a day or two, be in the control room, show you guys the workshops. You know, we've got everything in a much better situation to film all of that now, you know, and yeah, do some real, you know, ex-war veteran frontline journalism. And that is something I still want to do, but it's going to be a lot hotter than, it's going to be more dangerous to do that now than it is for me to have gone on most of the missions I went on, by the looks of things. So, you know, come here. Sorry, he's moving the dog out the way of a pram. Lie down, you bastard. Yeah. So yeah, Kherson is in a bad. It's the situation is bad. Essentially, it's all FPVs that are making this change, and it appears that whether it's just the regular FPV guys in the brigades across from us have got better skill and better tech over time, or if they've got kind of a rock star team, and they've got like help from fixed wing drone teams on a temporary basis, and there will be some respite as they move to another sector of the line. We don't know at this time. A couple of weeks ago, some of you may be aware that, and there's videos of this, a Russian pilot flew in through a window into a house in Kherson and observed, you can clearly see, he observes that there's a baby in a crib and makes the choice to fly into it and target that child. So, you know, we did some vengeance operations. Some of the videos, some of the footage you've seen on the last videos, especially with his FPVs flying to tall apartments, and the airstrike was part of that vengeance operation. But nevertheless, it appears that just on a numerical basis and also on distance, the Russians seems to be outmatching us on distance of mission that we can fly at the moment, and that is not good. You know, we, at least in our section, although we're trying to build up numbers and build up different capabilities of teams, you know, different sorts of drones and different ways of operating FPVs and stuff like that, you know, so different signals of FPVs, different types of FPVs, wire guided FPVs on top of like fixed wing recon and fixed wing strike and aqua drones for recon and strike, and possibly dropping off ground drones with Baba Yagas. This is all stuff we're building up and trying to create the, you know, equipment and personnel and expertise for across the company. But right now it appears we're being outmatched on distance, and that is a problem. You know, that is a real problem. So yeah, we need your support. Currently the finances are pretty low. I've dipped beneath the 10,000 pot to basically pay for the normal operations of the unit, which seem to be running at about $3,000 or $4,000 a month. I handed over $9,500 about a month ago, which paid for a vehicle and the transport and fixing of another vehicle and a bunch of office furniture and printers and shit like that, because the new company CP needs shit like that, you know. One of the downsides of the creation of this new drone battalion and us being a company in it is that the old battalion I was part of, that what was the 196 of the Territorial Defence, has basically decided, and a lot of the guys have decided, to stay loyal to that battalion. So they're not moving to the new one, which means, I mean, all the stuff I've fundraised, basically all the vehicles, most of the vehicles at least, and the, you know, all the drone equipment, the boxes to keep explosives in, and equipment, the 3D printers, the sort, like pretty, like not so much my workshop tools. I sort of put my foot down about that a little bit, because I sort of consider them mine. You know, they're tools. I'm quite defensive about my tools. You know, I'm happy for other people to use them, but they're still fucking mine. And you know, but basically they're keeping all that stuff, and I'm all right with that, because I've served with all of those guys, and there's no fucking way that I'm going to start putting my foot down and demanding that, because, you know, the stuff that I got donated and was signed over to the unit, right? But then there's like a vast amount of stuff that I've just bought and given to the guys, and some of that is a gift, you know, like if I give a guy a night vision or a thermal scope, it's his, it's not the battalion's, it's his, and there's a reason I've given it to him, because he's someone who achieves things. But, and you know, if it's like if we're talking about the chief sapper, who's a good friend of mine, if he asks for tools, in fact, if any of the good sappers I work with ask for tools, or I see that they don't have something they need, I just fucking buy it for them, and there's no way I'm turning up. But on the other hand, you know, there's tools that I bought for myself to use and are currently just sat in a workshop being used by someone else. They're still fucking mine at the end of the day. No one's taking my nice Makita off me, or all my bronze non-sparking tools, you know. They're good things. But yeah, it does mean What this does mean essentially is that while I have equipped like a lot of drone teams with vehicles and equipment and bits and bobs to help them make the jobs do better, and night visions and thermals and all that kind of stuff, I now have 4 more to support, and we're kind of back to fucking square one. So we're going to need a lot of money. We're going to need a lot of help if we want to like support the drone company in the same way we supported the drone platoon. And we're going to need to, because there's just so many things that the government and the military do not provide you with. And one way or another, you have to provide those things for yourselves. Like, I mean, maybe some units get stuff like this. You know, at the end of the day, in all conflicts in history, some units eat better than others. And that may be down to the fact that they're better units, or it may be down to the fact that, like, life's unfair, you know, and some people are, you know, a bit more popular or just seen as more valuable without necessarily being more valuable than others. I mean, we're at the far end of the line here. We're like the last unit before the sea. And yeah, you know, we do have it perhaps a little bit easier than at least some places, or a lot of places, especially out east. We've got the Dnipro in between us and the enemy. It is a war of artillery and tanks and drones with, you know, relatively light infantry action on the islands. Relatively light. I mean, it's still a very, very unpleasant place to do infantry stuff because it's all amphibious and in a swamp, you know. But it isn't, you know, we haven't got tens of thousands of men embroiled in bitter trench warfare, you know. But nevertheless, people still die here every day, and we kill Russians every day in pretty significant numbers. And to get the, you know, the army never provides us with a whole bunch of things like electro matches, you know, to make the devices we put under drones go pop. I've bought thousands of them. Plastic flight cases so we can keep things that aren't, you know, that don't come with their own plastic flight case dry and protected from shock and moisture and stuff like that as it gets thrown around in the back of a pickup truck doing 100 miles a fucking hour on its way to a mission, right? Spent fucking hundreds and hundreds of pounds on that hot glue. The amount of cable ties and fucking electrical tape, the amount of money I've spent on those things for this military is fucking astronomical, you know. Thousands on shit like that I've spent, you know, absolute thousands. You know, vehicle repairs, that costs a lot of money. I mean, it'd be nice, right, if the military or some big organisation turned up and went, here you go, here's your full allocation of vehicles, and they're all like armoured Land Cruisers or Toyota Hiluxes, and they've all got a drone jammer, and they've all got a full spare parts kit and 2 sets of tyres, one for the summer, one for the fucking winter, and yeah, there you go. You know, that'd be nice, but that is not the fucking case. I'm unaware of how many vehicles we got from the military. A couple, right, but nowhere near the platoon allocation. No one fucking does. And like the full, I think it comes to 22 vehicles I brought to the unit over time. Now, some of them were like straight, I asked a charity like Blaugebillen from Sweden, or Mission Ukraine from England, or Jeeps for Peace from England, and others, right? I'm sorry if I've missed you there. And they gave us a car, but most of them, like nearly all of them, was literally, you guys gave me money, I spoke to Harley or someone else, they bought a car in England, they got it to us, right? And then normally we spent a bit of money, you know, it got driven for a bit, and then we've had to spend the money getting it fixed, because most of them, you know, if you buy a Hilux for £5,000, normally it's getting towards the time of its life where it might need a bit of welding. And fortunately, that sort of work, I mean, parts aren't cheap in Ukraine, but labour is, skilled mechanical labour is. So, you know, it works just about. but it isn't fucking optimum, you know what I mean? We're not like some fancy fucking private security company driving around fucking somewhere in Africa or the Middle East with all the fancy cars and stuff. We're more like, you know, the Taliban, basically, but better organised, and, you know, we tend to blow ourselves up a bit less. But yeah, you know, we really need your support. And, you know, if anyone from Kyiv or any Western governments who've got a say, a list, or militaries who get a bit, you know, get to have a bit of influence, are listening to us, we could just really do with some more artillery in the Kherson region, and we could really do with some better, you know, with some like better long range drones, some better long range strike capability. We don't seem to have the same success at long range missions as I know some other units are having, like Azov and the International Legion. They seem to be a bit more up to date with the cutting edge of firmware, and yeah, be nice if someone reached out to us with that, you know, properly, or, you know, the guys, or it was implemented better. I don't exactly know. I'm not exactly asking for someone to reach out and fucking offer me that in an email, because that would be highly suspicious. But yeah, I'm hoping that things progress in a good way. So yeah. Loads of people are just walking close to me now, so just felt a bit self-conscious for a second. So yeah, that's pretty much the situation. Money needed, support needed. I'll admit, like, and we are definitely still recruiting, especially Ukrainians. There's there's a short and also just a little short video released as a normal video with a good, you know, the words in English of my commander speaking. And if you pass that on to any Ukrainians and just tell them to send an email to my channel, I've got a phone number they can have to aid in that recruitment process. For foreigners, the process is pretty much as normal. Get to Ukraine, make sure you're fit. You know, let's talk about recruitment a little bit, because I sometimes like feel I have to dissuade people from coming to Ukraine as much as I want to say, if this is a thing that you want to do, here is some slightly, you know, here's some things that you need to know that might help you achieve that and make it less stressful for you. And I think that's only fair, because I don't want people to come here and think that it's going to be easy, or that even everyone's going to be nice to you, or that things will make sense, you know. A lot of it won't. A lot of it will be stressful. But ultimately, yeah, I think a really good thing, if you've been umming and ahhing about whether you want to do this or whether you're capable of doing this, I would say now is a really optimum time to put yourself to the test and find out. Go and pack a bag, right? You need some way to make hot food and water, right? A jet boil is good, right? You know, and but, you know, or a ghillie stove, something like that, right? Little camp stove or a little way to make a fire of some sort, right? And you know, you need to be able to be fit enough, and to put, you know, you need to have a couple of changes of underpants and socks, especially socks. You need to maybe have, you know, a waterproof coat, and a couple of changes of three changes of t-shirt, 2 changes of trousers or shorts, right? And maybe a tent or a hammock and a sheet, you know, a hammock and a bivvy sheet, if you want to set yourself up like that. Simple stuff, right? If you don't know how to camp at all, you might be going to struggle, perhaps. This is a good thing. And just leave. Just go to the edge of your town, start hitchhiking, right? Head in the direction of the countryside. Use your phone, right, to find some nature reserve-y places or mountain ranges, or ask one of your mates or something. Well, don't worry about that. Just start fucking hitchhiking and start, you know, make sure that you're walking a minimum of 10 mile, like 16 kilometers a day. You know, get a paceometer on your phone. Have a power bank, right? Make sure you've got a couple of power banks and stuff like that. Make sure you take cables with you. Make sure you take some kind of medical kit so you can deal with blisters on your feet. Learn how to deal with blisters on your fucking feet. Learn how to keep yourself clean with wet wipes. And if you can do that sort of thing for 10 days and keep yourself clean, and you don't feel like you absolutely hated it, perhaps you're fit enough to come and serve in Ukraine. Perhaps. Hello. Perhaps you're fit enough. If you want to, because people turn up here sometimes, and I don't know what motivates them. You know, some of them seem to be these kind of hard man types. You know, some bouncer at a fucking nightclub somewhere. You know, or someone who was in the bikers or something like that. But they turn up and it's like, yeah, I'm ready, I'm up for it. I'm up for a gun battle, but also I've got a bad back and a bad knee and I can't run very far. And it's like, well, you know, I mean, if you'd struggle to go on a hiking holiday and you'd struggle to do a few days work on a building site, digging a fucking hole, then in no way, shape or form are you fit enough for like any part of the military, right? Because you know, you need to be able to do basic, slightly arduous physical activities to cope, right? I don't know why people get fucking confused about this. Like, does Ukraine recruit older people? Yes, it does, right? But, like, unless you manage to get yourself in somehow to somewhere where you just sat at a desk and that's all you're going to do all war, and since you don't speak or read Ukrainian, right, and those cushy jobs out away from the front are highly prized, you're not going to get one of those jobs, right? And the money's shit anyway, so you wouldn't want to do it, right? You have to be able to, as a drone pilot, like, carry shit, like heavy shit, and your body armour, and your rifle, and food and water for a couple of days sometimes, a couple of 100 metres, a kilometre, right? And yeah, you know, it sounds fucking easy saying a couple of 100 metres, but when you're fucking doing it, and there's drones overhead, and the adrenaline's beating, and you're really struggling to control your fucking breath, and oh, by the way, all that stuff can weigh a lot, suddenly it's a lot fitter. And if you're the kind of person who's, you know, you haven't considered some of the realities of the military, like, you know, basically being around some people, and it's not like some chummy, pally, everyone's having a laugh fucking thing. It's a bunch of grumpy guys, some of whom you don't understand the language they're speaking, sat around. We're all kind of worried, we're all nervous, some of you, especially the new guys, going to do something fucking stupid, right, and get us all killed. And now you've got to, like, you know, basically holding a shit for hours and hours and hours and hours because it isn't safe to leave the trench at the time. And then, you know, when you do, you've got to maybe do it, you've got to fucking shit into a plastic bag in front of some other people and stuff like that. And the only thing you've got to clean yourself with is fucking wet wipes and stuff, you know, and you've got to make a whole pack. Like, they said you'd be there for 3 days, and now you're going to be there for 9 days, yeah? Right, and you haven't got enough to eat, you know, and you don't want to eat that much anyway because it means you might have to go and shit again, right? And you don't, you know, you've only got like 1.5 litres of water to last you a day for like 3 days now, and it's the summer and it's hot, and you've still got to wear your fucking body armour because it's fucking, you know, because there's drones and mortars happening all the time, right? If you're not up for those sorts of things and you can't handle a fucking hiking holiday, and you know, another thing, are you fit enough for the military in Ukraine, according to Joe McDonald? 10-day hiking holiday, and then go and find a builder or a farmer who's either digging ditches by hand or putting in fence posts by hand, like digging the hole by hand and then knocking them in with, like, the, you know, the fence post fucking thing, the double handle on either side tube, or sledgehammers, right? Go and do that for 5 days. If by the end of that, right, you feel like you could get up and do it again the next week, then you're fit enough. Simple, right? If you're not, don't fucking come. Don't waste your own time. Don't waste Ukraine's time. But what I'm saying is, if you just go and do that shit now, in 3 weeks' time, If you're not fit enough right now, well, you fucking will be if you push yourself hard, you know. I mean, maybe just forget the hiking holiday and go and do 3 weeks knocking in fence posts for a farmer. You know what I mean? So yeah, like that'll get you ready. That'll get you ready for fucking war. What's going to happen when you get here? Well, you know, you're going to have to go to a military commissariat and start some kind of process. You're going to have to decide what unit you're going to join. You want to join. Normally these days, unless it's like an open one, like the Legion and stuff, and I don't even know how they work. Like, you need some kind of letter of recommendation. You need to be in contact with that unit. Now, there's ways to achieve that by email in your own country, and then there's ways to achieve that when you're here, which are a bit more opportunistic and who you meet and who you know. Okay, it's just how it is. I would recommend just coming over here, and I'd recommend having you need to have a couple of grand that you've got together. Don't worry about maybe getting on a credit card, because once you're on combat pay, you'll be able to pay it off quick enough. You need a bit of money to survive while you're here. You should, unless you really, really, really want to do infantry, right? Unless that's what you've got your heart set on, you should do a drone course. Okay. The drones have now, the way things are, have replaced a lot of what infantry do along the line, and yeah. Unless you're absolutely dedicated to the idea of being a sniper or a machine gunner or something like that, I'd recommend going and do a drone course. Once you're in country and, you know, you've got some kind of basic profile and people are, you know, willing to speak to you, finding one should not be that difficult. I definitely recommend doing one that teaches you about fixing them and building them as well as flying them in terms of FPV, and I definitely do one for Mavic as well, and that's your basics. But if you want to do more, you know, the more military, if you haven't got military experience, you doing drone courses in Ukraine is basically military experience and qualifications as far as the Ukrainian military are concerned. So if you can do those things and pass those things, display competence, right, and you've got more than one, should be good to go, you know. When you get in the military, when you get here, I would not recommend either bringing a load of old military kit with you unless it's something that's really nice, right? And even then, I probably wouldn't do that, because when you first join the military, if you are the proud owner of something like a thermal or a night vision, but now you're a recruit and you've just got to leave all your shit in a bag under a bed in a room like everyone else, the optimum fucking most likely time that shit is going to go fucking missing, right? So maybe work out a way of how to store it somewhere in Ukraine. If you've got a mate over here already, you know, like, or just put it in a box. I don't know, but yeah, maybe get something. Most countries have got Nova Poster now, so if you got someone back home, put it in a box and get them to Nova Poster it to you once you've got yourself established in a unit and you know where your nearest Nova Poster is, okay? But yeah, don't bring loads of military kit over here. What the Ukrainian government issues you is pretty fucking decent, all in all. Sometimes you get steel armour plates, but you also get Kevlar with them to prevent spalling, like UMP Kevlar, like ultra high molecular weight polyurethane. So, you know, you do but most of the time you get something better and a bit lighter that. But like getting level 4 plates and full Kevlar is pretty standard here. The Ukrainian modular body armour systems that you can buy, I would say, are like the most cutting edge and up to date in the world, and also way more affordable than the top end of the Yank stuff, you know. And there's all these, like, you know, neck collars and higher protection and shoulders and kidney protectors and all this stuff that you can just add on or take away depending on what sort of situation you're going into. Basically, do you need to be light and fast and agile, or are you basically expecting to be standing there being pretty still or crouched down getting shelled a lot, in which case you want like all the ballistic you can get, you know, all the Kevlar or whatever you can get. So stuff like that is available here. Once you are here, once you're getting combat pay, getting yourself a PVS 14 night vision, like I'd say that's a pretty good priority. Getting yourself a helmet with the rails, like a good quality one. A decent chunk of your first month's pay should go to that, right? If you have decided you're gonna stay with a unit, like most units have AKs, right? Or at least, look, most units do. More, there is more variety of other firearms floating around, but like, you know, you can get stuff to fit an optic onto an AK fairly affordably. Normally costs a couple of €100, but like, you know, that's, or less, you know, but the rail covers are less good. But yeah, you know, probably getting yourself an optic of some sort is a good idea. You know, thermal optic, even nicer idea. But again, these things cost money. But once you've squared away that sort of stuff, unless you want to spend loads of money buying all the latest fancy, super cool multicam clothing, right, you should realistically, you know, be able to save up your cash or focus on getting yourself a vehicle. It's another thing, if you can come to Ukraine and you are organised enough and together in life enough to come with your own pickup truck, trust me, that's going to speak volumes. That is going to speak fucking volumes to commanders. It's like, he's got his own car and it's a pickup truck. Yeah, organised bloke. He hasn't turned up as a bum with nothing else going on in his life, has he? So, you know, again, and it will also make you, make your life and your unit's effectiveness instantly better. So it's a win-win-win situation. You know, but yeah, don't worry about coming over here. Don't worry that you're not going to get issued boots and stuff like that. You know what I mean? The boots they issue, especially the winter boots, are pretty good. I would say that it's a hot country, and if you can get yourself like a nice, breathable set of like lovely summer boots, you know, do so. I'd also say that once you get to the front, you might find that like wearing a pair of Merrells, like a pair of trainers, is more acceptable in a lot of units than you might think. Real talk. See, I've got a bit of sleep in my eye there. Fucking hell, looking great, Joe. Been swimming and showered twice already today, but there we go. Still look grubby all the time. So yeah, anyway, I thought I would just make a bit of a normal video of me talking about stuff, because the last few videos all full of combat footage, like really tanked everything. So hopefully this improves things. Anyway, it's goodbye from me, Joe McDonald at Big Muck's Battle Blogs. It's goodbye from One Sock. And as always, to our pro-Russian and Vatnik listeners, Idina Hoyza Lupa.